What great words that last hymn had. I surrender all to you. I surrender all to you. You know, we started singing this and in the practice today. And I'm singing, you know, God, help me just to surrender all to you. And my kids' faces flashed up. They're a long way away at the moment. My brother rang me on Friday and went, you can't come home, ha ha. Nice brother. You know, brothers like him, who needs enemies? No, he's a good brother. But there's a lot of fear that's going around this week, right? Huge amount of fear. Who would have ever thought that it would come to a place like this where people are fighting over toilet paper in the shopping aisles? Who would have ever thought that it comes like this, and every single conversation that I seem to have this week, somewhere around it has this COVID-19 virus in it. What we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, how do we avoid it? Look at the shops because of it. All the borders are blocked, the planes aren't going. You know, even if I wanted to get back to Australia, I probably still could now, but it's getting harder and harder. Watching the news each night, I cannot believe how much they actually manage. You know, it's an hour news event, and pretty much the whole hour of it seems to be the COVID-19 virus. I actually said to Andrew, I came home from church on Friday, and I walked in and I said, I'm going for a long bike ride. And Andrew goes, are you all right? I said, I'm fine. I'm just so sick of this COVID-19. I'm sick of trying to make decisions about it. I'm sick of hearing about it. I do not want to watch the news, and I need to go for a bike ride. So off I went. Because it seems like fear has gripped the world. Sorry, got to remember not to walk. Sorry, Andrew. Need to welcome those people that are online with us today too. I meant to do that to start off with. We're really sorry that you can't be here, but we're glad that you're joining us online. For those that are there, this is a bit of a learning curve for us, so please be patient as we fumble through it. It seems like fear has gripped the world, doesn't it? Not just New Zealand, but the whole world. And everybody's running around like chooks with their heads cut off. But you know, the Bible has so much to say about fear. And I want to have a look at some of that tonight. Starting with these words from Proverbs. Proverbs 12, verse 25 says, anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. Who is feeling weighed down through fear and anxiety, or just this ever-present COVID-19 virus? Anybody? You're sick of hearing about it? Me too. Me too. You know, the Emperor Augustine actually said something really interesting. He said, fear is the response of the human heart when its one thing is threatened. Now, it made me really think when I read that. Fear is the response of the human heart when its one thing is threatened. So, well, let me ask you, at the moment, realistically, what is being threatened? Now, you're going to have to help me because the people on the line, they can shout answers at me, but they're not going to get through. What's being threatened? People's lives. Okay, so undoubtedly, this is a virus that is deadly. And it has a huge potential for people to catch it. And we hear a lot about the mortality rate. But, you know, the reality is that as of a couple of days ago, and this will have gone up again, 7,000 people have died. And that is absolutely tragic for that 7,000 families. But 96,000 people have recovered. we need to hang on to that because we need to be doing everything that we can to continue. What else is being threatened? It's not just life. Our freedoms, our whole lifestyle is definitely being threatened at the moment. You know, we're much more confined than we're used to. We're used to being able to go to the shop and get whatever we like. And I know that Denise has been trying for over a week now to get a bag of flour and still hasn't managed to get a bag of flour. Who would have ever thought? You know, we're not used to saying all our events are cancelled, that I can't go to places with lots and lots of people around. I'm not used to saying things. And it's so funny because even the things that may not be affecting me right now sort of do affect me, because right now I have no plans to go over to Australia. I wasn't planning on going to Australia until the end of June. But just the fact that I know that all the borders are closed and you have to go into isolation here and there. And, you know, realistically, if I went to Australia, I'd have to go over, spend 2 weeks in isolation. If I went over for my holiday, I'd go over, spend 2 weeks in isolation, be able to see my family for one day, fly back here, spend 2 weeks in isolation, and then come back to work again. You know, so all these things are just unsettling, aren't they? You know, Paul wrote to a young pastor named Timothy. And he said he was in the middle of his own hard times, and they were different from our hard times. He wasn't in the middle of a plague, but they're still relevant to us today. For 2 Timothy 1, verse 7 says this: "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind." And that's what I want to talk to you tonight about today. We are just going to look at that one verse. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. What is a spirit of fear? It's that tormenting fear that we had that everything is going to come crashing down on top of us. It's that fear that we feel when we're walking past each other. My son had a cold last week, and I don't agree with this at all. But apparently went into the shopping centres. He said, "Mum," he said, "it was like this, the red parting of the Red Sea. I'd cough and everybody would go like this." And I'm going, yeah, surprisingly, you shouldn't have been at the shopping centre. But we have that fear of being isolated. We have that fear of running out of food, or what happens when I get sick. And I actually think that spirit of fear is actually rampant in our world at the moment. And that spirit of fear is so much worse than the COVID-19. The COVID-19 is there. You know, I went to pick up a few groceries yesterday, and all across the shopping centre now, they have signs that go, "There is plenty of food. Please stop panic buying." You know, there is plenty of food. We are not going to run out. But this spirit of fear, so many times in the Bible, what does God tell us? Do not fear. Do you know how many times in the Bible that is? 365. 360. That's one for every day of the year. Every day of the year, I could look up something and go, "Do not fear." Read something about God saying, "Do not fear." So let's have a look at a couple of them. These are my favourites. Joshua 1, verse 9. Man, I've hung on to this one so many times. "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Whether you have to go into isolation or not, the Lord your God is with you right now. Just like, I love that story that Dawn told of being in the radiation and feeling God's hand in hers. I've experienced things like that. God is with you. If you get sick, is God there or is he going, oh, sorry, you're sick. I'm just going to stay away from you. He's not isolating. God is with you. And you know what? If the very worst happens and you die, is God with you? God is with you. So why are we so scared? We need to just take a breath and calm down a little bit. Matthew 6, verse 34 says, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will have worry about itself. Each day has enough troubles of its own. Now, that's not saying that we don't have to do some planning for tomorrow, but we don't have to worry about tomorrow. If I'm just not worrying about it, then I'm not going to go around hoarding things. I'm not going to go around, I'm just going to go, okay. Because there is so much about this that is still unknown. You know, there's an anagram for fear. False expectations appearing real. And I think at the moment, we all have these false expectations that have been built up and built up and built up because we don't know. We don't know whether we're going to get sick or not. We might go into isolation and the whole thing might go past us and we don't get sick at all. And yet I'm worrying. I'm worrying. What happens if I get sick? You know, equally, you could have a stroke or a heart attack or get hit by a bus. Maybe your chances of that in the next coming weeks are a little lighter. But do we sit there going, I might have a heart attack. I might have a heart attack today. I can't do anything. I might have a heart attack today. That will give you a heart attack today. We don't. We still actually need to be able to live our lives. And I'm not saying not to follow the government directions. We have to do that. But we don't need to be worried about it. So if we go back to 2 Timothy, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. If God did not give us this spirit of fear, where does it come from? Satan. Both Brian and Nicole in their testimonies this morning basically said that. This spirit of fear that is around is not from God at the moment. It is from Satan. But God has given us a spirit. And this spirit there's three things. He's given us a spirit of power, He's given us a spirit of love, and He's given us a spirit of sound mind. And this is what we need to hang on to right now. So let's have a look at them. One at a time. God has given us a spirit of power. You know, the first thing we need to do is we need to be praying to our powerful God. Who can do something about this coronavirus? God. So we need to be praying for Him. Who can lower that curve? Who can stop it outright? Who can protect individuals? God. So we need to be praying for Him. But not only is He in control, He also gives us the power of another gift. He gives us the power of peace. Paul wrote in his letter to Philippians. He's in jail when he writes this, okay? So, that's pretty tough. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, and with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Jesus gives you that perfect peace. That peace doesn't come when everything is over and everything's starting to get back to normal. That peace comes right now in the midst of all the problems. That peace comes right now where we can go, we know that this is our reality right now, but I don't have to be worried and anxious about it. That is the peace of God. If you are sitting here today and feeling anxious, I want you to come up and get some prayer for that peace of God to fall upon you before you leave today. And if you are online and you need somebody to come and pray with you, please give me a ring. And I will ring you up and you'll be on the phone. I will pray for you over the phone. But we need to be praying for that peace of God to come. You know, at stressful times when I am tempted to look at all the problems of the world, and you know, it's a bit like being in the ocean and the waves are coming and the waves are coming and they're getting bigger. And what did Jesus say to the waves? Peace. God says to us, take your eyes off the waves, take your eyes off all the problems of the world and focus them on me. You know, I have some Bible verses that I just find really, really helpful just to focus my mind on those times because it takes my mind off this. And I would recommend to everybody, you know, we need to be checking out what's going on at some stage during the day and during each day. But don't leave the TV on so you're having it constantly all day, or the radio on so you're having it constantly all day. Check it at some stage and then get on with your life, even if it's inside your house or where it is. But here's some Bible verses that really help me. For the kingdom of the Lord is the Lord's, and he rules over the nations. Who's in control? God. For God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but that's one that we're looking at now. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Doesn't matter what your list is. I've got a list of about 7 verses there, and I've got a couple of copies for anybody who wants it here. For those people that are on the internet, I will put them on Facebook this afternoon. If you want to have those verses so you can just sit and meditate on them. That one from Joshua is one that I have often gone. When I feel out of control, I claim that. I am not to be afraid or dismayed because the Lord my God is with me wherever I go. Secondly, God gives us a spirit of love. And wow, does the world need some love right now? You know, fear makes people think about me. I've got to make sure that I have enough food. I've got to make sure I have enough toilet paper. It doesn't matter whether I have 20 rolls at home already. I need to get that next bundle of 12 because I might run out. I need to make sure that I'm okay. But love actually says, I'm going to take my share, but I'm going to leave the rest for other people who need it. Fear makes me barricade myself away from the world. Love makes me reach out to others. Now, this is an interesting one because I would say by next Sunday, we will all be told to stay in our places. So how do we love in that situation? Well, you know, thankfully, in today's world, our technology is pretty good. Pick up the phone and ring somebody. I would really encourage you as Christians in this time, Christians whom God has given a spirit of love, to spread it round. To pick up the phone and to ring somebody and go, are you okay? Pick up the phone, like the pastoral care team and myself, we're going to be doing lots of phoning and things over the next coming weeks. But it doesn't need to be just us. You need to do it for each other too. Pick up the phone and ring people. Sorry, just lost where I was. The other thing will be, very soon for people who are really vulnerable, it is going to be really important for them just to stay totally isolated. And for some of them, getting food and medicine and things like that is going to be increasingly difficult. And so we've actually set up a system where you can ring me, give me your grocery list. I'll go and do your groceries. You're still paying for your groceries. I'm not paying for your groceries. But I have a couple of people who have already volunteered to help me to do this, so that if you're unable or if you're sick and you don't have family or anybody else around to help you, then your family is sick as well, then we will come and we will get what you need for that time. If you are interested in helping out with that at all, please come and see me or Janice, and just let us know. Thirdly, God, so He's given us a spirit of power, He's given us a spirit of love, and He gives us a spirit of a sound mind. And we need that right now, more than ever. A sound mind means that we're going to think things through prayerfully. A sound mind means that I'm not just going to go out and disobey everything. I'm actually going to think things through. And I would encourage us all to obey the governmental recommendations. Let's help put a stop to this virus really quickly. And some of you have already chosen to isolate yourselves, and I think that is really, really sensible. And we're taking extra precautions here. If you're unwell, please stay at home. Please don't come. We've got the hand sanitizer at the door. Use it. Use the soap. The chairs are further apart. I wish people that are on the camera that you could actually see this right now. Andrew's going to show you. Awesome. We're not going to shake or hug hands. Turn around, everybody, and wave to the camera so that hello, we miss you. We're wiping everything down after each session with antiviral wipes. When the time comes and we can no longer meet together, we still have plans to be able to fellowship together. Because the church is not this building. The church is our community. And so we will go on to online services. And I'm so grateful that we have the technology we do, because if this had been 50 years ago, this would have been an entirely different story. We were just not able to do anything. But now we can. Home groups can go online. We can have big Skype sessions and still chat and talk with each other. The sermons will, as of next week, we will try and have an entire service up online that you can sit and finding ways. It's going to look different. We're going to have to be a little creative. I don't have all the answers at the moment, but we're thinking it through. But God gives us a sound mind. Martin Luther wrote these words during the Black Plague, and I think that they remind us exactly about what Paul is saying here. Do not fear. Remember that God is in control. Remember to love and be sensible and wise. This is what Martin Luther said. Black Plague, one of the biggest plagues in history. I shall ask God mercifully to protect us. Then I shall fumigate, help purify the air, administer medicine and take it. I shall avoid all places and persons where my presence is not needed, in order not to become contaminated and thus perchance inflict and pollute others, so cause their death on the result of my negligence. If God should wish to take me, He shall surely find me. And I have done what He has expected of me, and I am not responsible for either my own death or the death of others. If my neighbour needs me, however, I shall not avoid place or person, but will go freely as stated above. See, this is such a God-fearing faith, because it is neither brash nor foolhardy, and does not tempt God. I thought Martin Luther was very, very sensible. It's precisely times like this that we need to be pressing into God. We need to be pressing into God because that is what allays the spirit of fear. And we need to be pressing into other people. That is how we're going to show the spirit of power and of love and of sound mind. And I'm calling you as a Living Waters Church, not knowing, what's going to happen in the next week, to rise up in Christ and to demonstrate to the world that this is what a Christian looks like at this time. It's not somebody who's cowering away in a corner, but somebody who is pressing into God because He is powerful. And we're remembering to love and to be sensible and to be wise. Let me pray. Lord, I thank you that you are all powerful and nothing takes you by surprise. Lord, I give to you our fears for our lives, our fears about getting sick, our fears about our world and our lifestyle changing, our fears for our family and our friends. Lord, I claim the spirit that you give us, the spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind. Lord, we pray that you will do your almighty work and call a halt to this virus across the world. I pray for your peace to fall down upon each one of us, that we may focus our eyes so firmly on you that it takes our fear away. I pray for your spirit of love, God, that will help us to look to the others, not just ourselves. And I pray for a spirit of a sound mind, that you will give us your wisdom and your discernment through all of this. Lord, above everything else, I just thank you and praise your name that you are in control. Amen. I don't know what next week will bring. I suspect by next week we will be at level 3. And that will mean that we can't meet here. But we're still meeting. Do not neglect to meet. Do not neglect to stay in contact with each other. That is the church that God has called us to be. Let's be it.